Hi, I'm your host, Shayna Weldon, and this is the Data Standard Audio Experience. We have a very exciting guest today. On our podcast, we have Sumit Agarwal, a Senior Research Director at Gartner. Today, we're speaking about data and analytics. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Shayna.
Thank you for being on the show today. Can you please go ahead and first just introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So, Shayna, I'm a research analyst at Gartner, and I have a very specific focus on AI technologies. Most of my research documents, they have been around machine learning, and it's a lot of learning. Right. So I enjoy that. The industry and technology has been moving so fast, right? So I love what I do there. As part of my work at Gartner, I also get to meet with a lot of clients and worldwide. So that's the other fun part of my job, where I probably talk to about 500 organizations, 500 clients, across the globe. And that's a unique opportunity, right? So I enjoy what I have been doing. It's an amazing experience to be able to share, to be able to advise and to learn from so many organizations. That said, right, I have worked across multiple companies in the past. Worked in technology consulting product platforms as well, where I started my career working on large SCADA platforms for utilities, and then worked on integrations of multiple systems, got opportunities to build data platforms from scratch, modernizing reporting solutions to be more interactive, dynamic, be more self-service, and initiated new AI ideas and solutions across machine learning, conversational AI. So I've been enjoying my work, and sometimes it feels like I'm living a dream.
That sounds great. That's very impressive. I like how you feel like you're living a dream. I feel like that is the goal.
Thank you.
So, how did you first become involved in data analytics?
Well, so, I enjoy technology, and I've always liked to be hands-on. So I worked across a lot of different programming languages, and I would say a lot of different platforms as well. But then, it's not about technology, right? That's not the end goal. It's really about people who get impacted by this and who are using this technology, right? So you're trying to improve the productivity or the efficiency, or adding some insights into, who the users are of this technology. So, and data is, what generates a lot of these insights into modern organizations. So when that realization hit me, right, that it's not about technology, it's really about the people who use the technology. That's kind of what motivated me to work on problems around data and analytics. And I guess for me, one of the advantages I had, that I always worked in a more customer facing or a client facing kind of work. So I could see, where they're coming from, what problems they're facing in a day-to-day job. Right. So it helped me build that kind of a partnership where I'm not just purely thinking from a technology mindset perspective. Right. I try to relate it to what are the challenges and how to solve that, give them something better and use technology. So that was my motivation behind being in more data analytics.
Wow. And then moving towards one of your research topics, I know one of them is end-to-end solution implementations. Can you please explain this concept further?
Well, that's a great question, Sheena. So, when I think about end-to-end machine learning, the different personas that come in and different parts of this process. So, and often these get siloed. So, a lot about, data scientists have been like the most popular, sexiest job that came out, like 2012 Harvard Business Review kind of highlighted it that way. So data scientists have been a lot in demand, and they focus on the data and building a predictive model using the data. And that's kind of it. But then the problem is not solved yet. You have to take that model, implement into a business life cycle, make sure that it is solving a business problem, and it's available when it's needed. So that's kind of what completes that whole end-to-end life cycle, that you start from building a model to training to testing to implementing it and then monitoring it and ensuring it's successful. For me to look at part of the process in this step, it doesn't help me providing a bigger, overall big picture view of what are the different things to look at. Right. And I've always been an implementation person. So I try to see that, how to solve this problem, not just in a piecemeal way, but looking at it as a overall big picture view. And that's kind of what comes as, when we talk about end-to-end machine learning.
Wow. And then moving towards best practices, I know they're extremely important in every single industry, but what are some cloud-based AI best practices that you use?
So cloud has been kind of a place of innovation. Right? It has completely changed the bar from where you have to wait to get access to a server for months and sometimes to where cloud says, okay, you can get it in minutes. And when we talk about AI solutions, it's a differentiator there, right? Because there are solutions where you need a GPU to be accessible, right? And GPUs, if you have to buy them, they're expensive, right? But You may only need it for maybe in a few hours or days, right? So it's so easy to provision them on the cloud. So cloud brings a lot of benefits, more especially in the AI space. And a lot of the big cloud vendors, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, right? They all have invested heavily in building these platforms, the toolkits, and package services to make the development of the AI solutions very easy. So, think of it like if you want to build a translation solution, right? So we can on my phone, I can just call Siri and say, give me this answer, and it can understand it, right? Or I can pick up a translation app and say, okay, or like a Google search engine, I can say, okay, translate this from English to Spanish. It's so easy there, right? And we kind of take a lot of these things for granted. But these are the kind of services that are available on cloud platforms to get you started. That's one part of it, right? They have expanded it into a lot of document processing solutions, a lot of forecasting, a lot of conversational AI platforms. So it's become so easy to build it. Now, modeling is the easy part. Other part of it comes as data. How do you get data on the cloud? And a lot of these AI services that cloud platforms offer is where you need to bring your data on the cloud. But then, storage is cheap. Provisioning of storage is easy. So you can easily bring in this large volume of data on the cloud and take advantage of what the cloud has to offer. So the tool set is available easily, right? So the thing I'm trying to say is that, when you're using AI on the cloud, the tool set is easily available. The data platform is easily available, and you can easily experiment to kind of take advantage of and learn and build solutions. Now, the other challenge that comes, beyond modeling and data is skills. So they do require you to have that in-depth knowledge of what the cloud platforms have to offer. And again, all of these cloud platforms, the organizations, they have been taking a lot of initiatives into the education part. So there are a lot of these courses available through the open platforms like Coursera or edX or Udacity and others as well, right? Where you can kind of sign up for a course to learn about, how does AWS platform work or GCP work or the other, Microsoft and IBM work. And they have created these certification paths. So where you can gain the knowledge, build solutions, and as well as have the credential to show for it. So, it's an exciting journey, but, you have to think of it as a journey, not something that you can, just, do quickly in a short amount of time.
Yeah, that's totally true. How about responsible AI? Regarding that, what are your thoughts on privacy and fairness in that regard?
Well, so responsible AI has been both exciting and challenging at the same time. And, I'm sure you're following the news where there is, something constantly coming up where, some AI solution is not being fair. Right? Be it something about credit card applications or judicial systems or facial recognition systems, or, it could be a loan application, a healthcare a triage model. Right? There is week or so, you will come across a news article that says that the AI models were not being either not fair or not properly built. Right? So some challenges there. So responsible AI is extremely important as organizations look to take advantage of more and more AI solutions. In my opinion, responsible AI encompasses, I guess, three key components: the toolkits, the processes, and the guardrails that come with that. And what I mean by that is when I think about the toolkits, so all the major tech organizations, and again, the Google, the IBMs, the Microsofts, Amazons, right? They have been, again, investing heavily in creating these some of the fairness toolkits or explainable AI toolkits, right? So you have the technical foundations to implement and make sure that your model is being fair. There are a lot of startups coming up in this space. So it's a big space of technology innovation right now to ensure that the models are being built fair. Now, in my opinion, that's again the easy part, right? So for me, technology is easy. The harder parts come in, how do you implement them, which is where the process comes up. So, take the example of an insurance company where a zip code is being used by an insurance model to say, how the premiums should be. They quantify risk based on zip codes, which is, how their models have been for years and for decades. It could happen that a different use case may say, zip code could help or could enable a solution to say to identify income disparity or racial bias. So somebody has to define that what is fair and what are the characteristics of being fair. So I think that is the harder part, right? And kind of defining those process that how do you make sure that your model is, knows what is fair, as well as you build, as you test, as you deploy, and making sure that it's fair on an ongoing basis. I think that is where a lot of the best practices have to be part of the process to implement the AI solutions. So that is where it starts getting harder. Now, the journey doesn't end there. Right? It has to be part of an organization DNA. And that is where I see the guardrails coming up. that are the organizations thinking from an ethical perspective? Is being ethical part of their DNA? Are they looking at it as data privacy as a key pillar, as part of their organization practice across their employees and customers? So I think that's kind of where responsible AI, starts from a technology component all the way to an overall organization principles and policies. The organization who's starting to think in that direction, like Microsoft has a Office of Responsible AI. There are, Google came out with their AI principles that everybody has to align with. So we are seeing, more and more of those initiatives becoming visible. That's kind of how we see that, building AI solutions and making sure that, they're implemented in a responsible way.
Yeah, that was great. I also know one of your greatest strengths is open source components. So what exactly are open source components and how do they play a part in artificial intelligence and machine learning?
So open source, I would say, is kind of the innovation foundations, across a lot of the technology that we see. Right? It essentially is something that the community is coming together and saying, okay, this is what we can do and we can build. And they're not bounded by an organization policy. Right? That's how a lot of it started. And Linux is a very good example of that. That's probably the best success story of open source. Right, where instead of having a closed operating system model, Linux came out with something which is open, which is public, and it made a lot of organizations became part of it. So it's a great success story. Right, so now that has evolved, where we initially thought of it as one person maybe, or group of people who came up with an idea and they said, okay, let's build something. That still works, but we are seeing that a lot of enterprise and corporate support is going into that, where you will see that all the leading tech vendors, as well as organizations like Walmart or Capital One, Netflix, right, they're all contributing heavily to open source. So they are supporting the open source movement, the developers, as well as they are saying, okay, we are getting advantage from that. So let's give back to that community as well. So a lot of that innovation we are seeing in the AI space is actually coming from open source. So, think of it like programming languages like Python and R, or frameworks like TensorFlow and PyTorch, or scikit-learn, or Kubernetes. Right? These are all like the foundations of building an AI solution, and they all have their roots within open source. They do have some corporate support, right? But they're all coming in open source. So that helps from a development perspective. It kind of lowers that entry barrier to learn and to implement. So that's kind of why I love it, because I have learned a lot from open source in the past. I have taken advantage of it. So, I certainly try to share and showcase the benefits that you can achieve from there. But it also means that there's a lot of work that's needed many times to make sure that you can actually implement an enterprise scale open source solution. Right? A lot of times the commercial solutions are easier to implement. The open source ones need to make sure that you have the right skills available. But if you were to look at the cloud platforms, right, or the leading technology platforms, and look at what components they're using, many of those have their origin from open source. So it is being used very heavily, and keeps on coming up with new innovative ideas.
Well, thank you. So we at the Data Standard are building a community of data enthusiasts and data thought leaders where everyone's open for collaboration and to connect with one another. So what can our community specifically do for you?
Well, that's an excellent initiative, Sheena. And I see this as a kind of a flow of ideas where, there is so much innovation happening, so many new things happening in the AI space, especially, but in the overall technology space. So we constantly see good success stories from startups, right? A lot of research happening in the academic world. So that flow of ideas is kind of essential to make sure that the ideas get validated as well as they get adopted. So I think there's a huge opportunity to collaborate, to network, and kind of share ideas and know that what is really useful, and be able to maybe promote them, be able to take advantage of that, and be able to learn from it. So I think this is a great initiative and a great idea.
Well, thank you. On my part, I would say I really value your mindset, and I look forward to staying in touch with you.
Absolutely, Sheena. Thank you so much for this. Really good to be in this podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you for taking the time to be here again. Also, for the Data Standard, if you want to find more information, you can reach us at www.datastandard.io. This episode was also sponsored by Pandio. They are innovating the tech space, and you can learn more about their work at pandio.com. But thanks again, Sumit. Really, I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, Sheena.